So, joined today on the Iron Mindset podcast, two of the long-standing figures, both in Irish powerlifting and at the AB series, Eamonn Harford, Jake Brennan. Fellas, thank you very much for giving me your time.
What's happening, baby?
Thanks for having us.
I think we've been talking about doing this one for a little while. I know initially the first conversation we were hoping to get Ben Crockwell in as well, but I don't actually think we were going to be able to fit that much human mass around.
He's so skinny, he'd fit right here.
You can sit on our knees.
He'd probably, I mean, like, I would not be surprised if Ben was the type of guy now I'll need a standing desk for my podcast.
Oh, fucking
I will, but I do think down the road we will need to do one with Ben because you guys all share a fantastic history, both being training partners, competitors on the platform. You've had great laughs together and you've all wanted to kill each other as well. Yeah. So there's definitely some great stories there. So we'll save some of the ones involving Ben till we can have Ben on. So in any case, I want to kick things off. Just catch up with generally how things are going. Eamonn, you are on the fast track coming into Clash of Titans 2 and looking stronger than ever. Your squats this past weekend were looking really, really good. How are things going?
Things are going well. Training is going really well. It's a fine balance of kind of pushing it to the level of extreme, which I know I can do, and not getting hurt. So that's kind of the hard thing at the moment. Is like I want to really, really push, but I know I have to kind of be smarter this time around because the bench is still kind of realizing that the surgery wasn't as successful as I thought it was being, with the fact that half my pec hasn't came back on this side. As people see, that hasn't came back. I thought it was going to come back with muscle, even something, but it's just literally not coming back. Right. Which is putting me in a position where I have to really like bench with shoulders and triceps, especially on that arm. Yeah. And I'm having a bit of a problem with kind of like synchronicity between the two arms. So it's like I benched 175 last night.
That's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all. Like for someone who's...
Well, that's not bad for you.
It's not bad competitive when you consider how shit his bench has been. And that's not a knock.
Yeah,
that's not a knock. It's like, I mean, it's been a long road for you. You know, it's been a long road for you with this bench. I mean, I think the last time you hit 200 bench was April 2019.
Well, you hit 2020. Was it not in the lead up to Clash 1?
Well, I hit 200 there, yes.
Oh, yeah,
yes.
sorry. But I mean,
in competition, yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, it's true. It's I had a shoulder injury on my right shoulder. We didn't know what it was. I worked with loads of different people on it, and then eventually just got a PRP shot, and that fixed it up. And that was last prep. Yeah. So for this pec to go after that was such a goddamn misery. Nightmare because of the fact I was like half expecting this shoulder to go. I was like, I can understand that the PRP maybe just healed a bit too quickly and blah blah blah. So so the bench is there. Deadlift is moving well, moving strong. I feel strong as ever in deadlift. I've got a big deadlift coming up this Sunday, so hopefully it goes well. But in general, it's just fine balance. I think the biggest difference this prep is working with Ellis Fine. I've been working with this since September. And not even just nutrition, just we talk pretty much every day. And we do stuff like blood glucose and oxynometer readings to basically see how my body is performing that day. Yeah. And if it's not, kind of listening to him and not pushing that training or changing training days or being a little bit smarter about my stuff. So that's been the biggest difference in my own mindset of things,
Yeah, for sure. And I think actually around the time we had you on last, I can't remember if it was just before, just after the lead up to Clash, but I know that's when you injured the pec in the final couple of days. And then same thing happened to Jake, essentially, building into the same meet. Now, obviously, you still got to perform on the day, just not nowhere near to your best. No. You still were able to put up a total, though. But you've been off the platform since then, and you were unfortunately coming back prepping for this meet. Yes. And unfortunately...
Listen, man, but near a decade of powerlifting and 2 injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's a kick in the gi, but you take it on the chin and you kind of keep on moving. I'm devastated with it because I was moving really well. Everything was clicking. My squat was flying again. I mean, as I said, city gym tempos. And... my deadlift was kicking again. My bench had come back beautifully, and just playing around with 275, and it just popped.
Yeah. So this is kind of the question. Like, so I'm sure when the people are watching this on YouTube, they may have noticed, or even from watching if they keep in touch with you on Instagram, since we had you on the first time and you had aspirations to potentially go on and become a coach, to your second visit where you actually have done that, to now where you've been at it for over a year, you've somewhat recontextualized. You've a much bigger scope of the realm of health and fitness, not just in
powerlifting.
Just being strong as possible despite everything else. And you've actually cut down a significant amount of weight. So I think you're handling the miss in this competition quite well, because you know you can recontextualize and achieve something else further on down the road.
Absolutely.
And you were just telling us before we went on the air, you're also going to be doing a little bit of work with another coach as well.
Yeah. So I've signed up with Tommy Stanton, who, in my opinion, and in many opinion, I think is one of the best bodybuilders Ireland's ever produced. I just want to open my scope to different aspects of the fitness industry. You know, I've been a powerlifter. I am a powerlifter, and I'll always be. But it's good to open my mind to things so that I can, you know, potentially help others in a better way. Or, you know, not everybody wants to come and get mad fucking strong.
Yeah.
You know, lots of people want to just come to the gym. Now, I'll never treat people like they're made of glass. That's not my style, because you can fuck off. But it's good for me to just have a little, you know, different outlook on how I train and who I respond to. And, you know, I want to see how it goes for the next 8 weeks.
Do you think your view of training and your priorities have changed since we had you on last?
My priority is to always win. Right now, I'm not capable of winning. So I've been able to, as I say, I think I spoke about this on one of my fucking stories. Go fuck yourselves.
Yeah, the Jake Carr rant. There's actually a highlight on your page.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You're adding the stories to your highlights. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So if people
when did you learn that? Who showed you that?
We have like a group chat that we send each other memes in, and we've been like trying to teach Jake how to use captions and things on the stories, and he actually is picking it up. So I know those are picking up traction as well. People are enjoying the Jake Carr rants.
And so with that, and where was I saying?
Your scope and your understanding and how things have changed.
Yeah. So, and I just, you know, I'm happier leaning out, trying to bring the body shape down and change and walk the walk that people want to come to me for. You know what I mean? And because, like I said, not everybody. Like, I mean, I work with a lot of seasoned people at the moment. You know, 29 plus fat. You know, and I love it. They're honestly the people over the 40, 50 mark are the best people to work with.
Marge the Barge.
Marge the motherfucking Barge. She is incredible. She's incredible. That woman blows me away every single time we lift together. You know, and I love working with our sister, Eileen, Big Red. She's brilliant too, you know. Yeah.
Let me ask you then, Eamonn. So you've known Jake an incredibly long time. We will get into some of your history together, obviously, as we get into this, but just keeping things current. What have you noticed that's been different about Jake this time around, training with him in the last, 8 to 10 months versus previous preps you've done with him? Like, now he's sitting a bit leaner. He's obviously probably moving a bit faster. I know he's not moving at 100% capacity right now, but having known him a long time, have you seen a change in Jake since he's entered the fitness realm as a coach?
I think he's happier.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think when he was chasing the 1,000 kilo total, he, like kind of how I am now, he was obsessed with it. Not that he's obsessed with not hitting again, but there's a different obsession. It was more of an aggressive obsession. I think now he's happier in his training, joking, laughing, that sort of stuff, and then he enjoys to help other people, especially in the gym. You know, honestly, like when I first met Jake, to think that he'd be a PT as his career was not really that's not something I would have ever predicted. You know, that kind of way.
I was a lunatic.
Yeah, and you only really kind of cared about your own lifting, you know, that kind of way. Not in a bad way.
No, it's just I was a self-centered cunt, and that's okay to say.
I'd say you still are a lunatic, just lunatic light.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like my road rage, and anybody, like I have this insane road rage. Like I want to jump out and pull your fucking jaw off if you cut me off. Like I had that in the gym constantly, and it was just so fucking unhealthy.
Yeah.
You know?
So, and then for you then, so naturally you were prepping alongside Eamonn into Clash of Titans last year when you both unfortunately were injured. You're training with him now. Obviously you're not currently in prep. You're going to push things out and compete at the Abs Pro in August, which we're all very excited to see you back in that really high standard competition as well. Have you noticed anything different about Eamonn's prep this time around versus previous preps you've done with him?
The biggest thing I've noticed about Eamonn differently is that he can squat now.
Okay. Please elaborate.
Well, when we first linked up together, Eamonn's squat was 100 kilos less than his deadlift.
Right.
You know, legit like 100 kilos, if not more. And, you know, in the last, since 2017, 2018, he's put on a little bit more tissue. But his squat has, when he jumped in with abs, his squat leapt in leaps and bounds. You know, and I know a lot of people say, he's been pushed too hard on the depth. But that's just the standard that it was just required, you know, and he has risen to the occasion every time. And I have to say, it's great to watch that. It's, you know, we always have a frenemy shit thing going on at times. And, you know, that's the truth of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that we're not friends, but we are frenemies, definitely, at times, especially when we're competing and we plan on beating each other. And when we share a rack together, it is a competition. No matter what, the winner, everybody wants to win and nobody wants to lose. So,
Eamonn, for you, then it is, I've seen it as well, your squat has definitely come on an incredible amount. What do you put that down to?
Controversially, body weight. Being bigger has helped. You know what I mean? I think what it's come down to is finding a technique or an idea of a technique that works from me.
For you, yeah.
You know what I mean? Watching Jake squat, because I've always like watched you squat and you've changed different things around, but I've just trying to figure out, like, remember I used to be really low bar?
Yeah.
And I kind of went high bar and then I went mid bar, because I was watching you one day, like in the middle, you were squatting and you kind of, where you hit your top squats last year, you were mid bar.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to try that out a bit. Yeah, and then training with people like Jake, you know, kind of way, really, really good squatters, really technically good squatters. And then I think I've really focused a lot on bringing my quad strength up to allow me, because once I realized that the only real way to squat is knee flexion, not hips back, do you know, kind of way.
West side, motherfucker.
When I realized that, I was like, yeah, that's fine. But I look at kind of training as like, I can't knee flex strong enough to squat 400 kilos unless my quads can support that. So by focusing on quad work and that sort of stuff has allowed me to have that forward knee bend a bit more. You know what I mean? And then I think, interesting enough, the bicep tear and the pec tear have forced me to train my legs a lot more in the last couple of years than I would before, because I was only able to squat.
Yeah,
right.
I was squatting 4 days a week, whatever.
The gift of injury.
Yeah, there you go.
You know?
And but last prep, I think my squat really jumped because I literally put in my head that whatever Jake did, I wanted to do more.
Yeah.
And he saw that with chip stuff. Now, I know for a fact, Jake, and I'm going to talk to you and listen, that when we get to that final, like, that sixth gear, you know, when both cars are going, one car has a sixth gear and the other one only has a fifth gear, that you were going to go, right, I'm going to hit your top speed and just keep going. And that happened around, like, the 360, 370 mark, and then he went up to, like, 405 for double, and I went 372. So I knew that was coming, but in my head, I was like, if I can stick with you to the fifth gear, then I can kind of, that's where my extra layer, my extra kind of bit of torque is going to come from. Do you know that kind of way? Because what's really funny is that me and Jake have known each other so long, but Jake was always really good at squatting. Yeah. Like, he squat like 300 in the first comp, didn't you? Or something like that?
Yeah, 290 in my very first squat.
Yeah, and I deadlifted 290 in my first comp. So we were the perfect training partners in regards to, he was really good at squats, not the best at deadlifts.
Not the best at deadlifts.
I was shit at squats and really good at deadlifts. Yeah. So
we complemented each other well when we could stand each other enough.
Yeah, exactly. and that was the whole thing. So really focusing on kind of that positional stuff, finding what works for me. Bodyweight, man, I'm gonna put it out there. And then the last thing, just having that competitive edge of understanding about like training really, really hard with the right people and pushing yourself will push those limits. Because how many people in Ireland, the UK have squatted 400?
Well, maybe 10 all in.
Right. So what? There's like
maybe
10. You know. So if I want to be one of them, right, I have to look at one of them and go, how do I get that? Like, of those 10 people who've maybe squatted, who are actually not built to squat, who've squatted 400. You know, like Conor Marston's massive. He's a massive. You're built to squat.
Yeah, I'm built to squat.
Dave. Dave
Richardson.
Yeah,
he's the only one that's not built a squat.
We actually brought him up. I had Killian and Tristan on recently on the podcast, and we were talking about Dave's very unique squat style, where he basically puts himself in a very similar position to his deadlift, sits down, hits step, pushes the knees forward, then extends them back and stands up. So he's found a way to play into his strengths.
Were you there that day that we came up with that?
Me and you?
Yeah. He was there in the abs. We spent 2 hours at wraps on.
Yeah. He had to push into his knees. But he, again, unfortunately, he's got a slightly leaner body frame to allow that to allow for that. But you're getting that same now. You've got that same get down, push, jam forward.
Yeah.
And you're seeing the big difference. Once you hit that note right, you always stand up.
Yeah. Like the 375, I think I hit it right. Like it just went. But I was just trying to complete is that. So to be in that group of people who've squatted 400 in Ireland and England, right? And for someone who's not built to squat, right? I got to really train hard and do it right. Mm-hmm. And then, but there's a real fine balance between absolutely smashing your squats, smashing your leg volume, doing all these things, and then not getting injured and not coming out the other side where you just can't move or you can't do it. And so that's what I've really tried to work on the last couple of years, that kind of way. So
that's one of the things for that Sunday session, obviously, and abs being the big squat session. That's a really great crew that's down on that rack. And I know we've said it every time we've had everybody on. I know you've got Colin Larkin Lynch in, which is Mark Gallagher squatting in, which is there's a good crew of lads in there that are keeping each other going. It's actually one of the things I missed since I swapped over to
natties.
Yeah, lifting in the Irish PF is that like I'm prepping with a lot of other lads, obviously, but like it's just, or prepping for the series was always such good crack because I had all these fucking mad juiced up motherfuckers popping off, especially when we were like 4 weeks out. Everyone started on the trend.
It's
like,
so toxic,
but it was amazing. it was an amazing like high, like the urgency in every moment was huge.
What was that?
Hyper competitive.
What was that story? Remember it got out there that you were like giving out to me because it was like, I think it was my 365 or 360 for a double or something I wanted to go for. My 340 was shit, right? And the music was really loud. And Jake turns around and he goes, "You're not gonna do it. That last squat was shit." but other people in the gym decided to take that information, right?
Yeah.
And pass it around to other people that Jake was giving out to me and telling me how shit at squats.
That's what he was being shit at squats.
That day I was. But then I nailed that squat. But I was like, I came back, I was like, I think you came up to me and was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry for it." It's like, no, that's exactly what I wanted. You told me my last squat was shit. And I said, I'm going to put it on the line and go for this.
And you did, and you came up with it.
And I nailed it. But it was so funny how people perceive me and Jake sometimes. Mm-hmm. Because stories like that, other people hear Jake talking to me or me talking to Jake, that kind of way. And because we're frenemies in a lot of ways, and other people who know that kind of history were like, they see it so differently than us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
a lot of these people haven't even known you that long.
Yeah.
Like they don't realize there's probably a decade or more of history there.
Good for a decade,
Yeah. And it's hilarious because I look at some of the like old West Side podcasts and like these ones were like Vogue Pose, like I hated you.
They all hated each other.
Yeah. And it was like, but they were still there to make sure they were not going to let you die under a squat. They were going to spot you. They're going to
I'd let you die.
No. You won't let me die when I take your total off the board, and then you have to come try to take it back.
Mate, there's no way you're taking my total.
So let me ask, right? Because this is going to be the next piece of that puzzle, right? Because it's obviously very apparent you guys have known each other a long time. You've been training together for a long time. So I want to know a little bit more about the history. So, Jake, was your first ever time meeting Eamonn when you joined them at Layok, or had you met before that?
Boyneside.
Yeah, well, that was basically the first time that we'd linked up. We'd spoken on Facebook, and was it Facebook, or Instagram, one or the other.
I don't think Instagram was around.
What?
It
would have been. Yeah, it would have been. It was 2016, man.
We're really old.
Yeah, and you are. I'm looking younger every day.
Right, well, tell me about it. What was your first impression of meeting Eamonn?
It was really cold in Boyneside. It was really cold and wet and stunk of fish.
Because you're just back from Australia.
Yeah, but no, man, the whole. So when I joined Boyneside, there was Amo. Dean owned the gym, or at least was a part owner of the gym. There was David Looney and Kieran, and there was Eamonn's ex-partner Naomi, and there was a good crew of people, it was, and there had been it was an eclectic crew because for the most part that's what most powerlifting gyms are still made up of, eclectic people.
Yeah.
You know, not people that get upset about or being slagged about their deadlift setup. You know?
Yeah.
And it always the outliers, always the weirdos. That's always been the way. But yeah, I was more what did they think of me? Because I came in the door and I was doing furniture delivery at the time. And at the time, fucking hell, at the time I was coming in, I was out doing furniture delivery, but one of the lads that I was doing the deliveries with, he was a coke dealer. So we'd be out there delivering furniture and I'd be fucking railing lines of coke, driving around. Driving around this van delivering furniture. Oh, how are you, missus? Yeah, in with the couch. And then we'd be up for a squat session or a deadlift session. And Killian Carolyn was there as well at the time.
Yeah.
And then he pretty much segued out of there fairly rapidly. And he joined Abs. Pardon me. And then Layak opened. And we were there in this tiny little gym. I mean, tiny.
I remember. I know what it looks like. It.
Yeah, and we just sort of went there, and it was like super competitive, super toxic, and a lot of me screaming. I punched a few fans.
Yeah,
and I don't mean people.
There was some furniture in places that got destroyed.
So then, Eamonn, what was your first impression of Jake? And then for the preceding few months when you were coaching him for a while.
Yeah. So before he got to Australia, I got him a spot in the Irish Pro. Remember?
Oh, when I came back from Australia.
When you came back from Australia, sorry.
Yeah.
When he got back from Australia, we got you a spot in the Irish Pro.
Yeah, I just had to do the nationals.
Yeah, to kind of show that you're who you are. Shane Brody was like, he's got to show us what he's capable of. This guy coming, blah, blah, blah. And then, so we kind of like got ready for that. We were doing a conjugate system at the time. And I think the biggest thing that shocked likes of me and Dave Looney and stuff was that, one, I was the strongest guy in that crew at the time. And as we've already pointed out, I could squat for shit. That he came along and Jake came along and was very much like, do you ever hear like the old Mark Bell stories about Stan Efforting? No matter what setup he put him under, he dominated that squat. Jake was like that. It's like, we're going to do a safe squat bar against 2 blue bands with a pause. And I do like 150 kilos and I'd be like, oh my God, that was hard. And then Jake would smoke it. And then we'd go up and Looney was just so funny. He was like, his legs, they're just so strong. Remember Looney? And then Kieran would be like the most competitive man.
Toxic. It was great.
The most competitive man alive he was. He was so... Him and Looney's like
they were brilliant together, man.
They're still great friends now. They still go for coffee every week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Kieran's playing rugby now in Balbriggan. So that was the big thing. And then I think so we did the Irish Pro. It was the first year of the King of the Deadlift, the Irish Pro. So I was just doing the deadlift and Jake was doing the full power, I think. And I think, what did you open your squat? Like 320 or something?
That time, the pro, it was 325, and I know you're thinking of when they all laughed.
National, was it? Yeah, it was national. Sorry,
310.
Yeah, so we opened at 310 and he absolutely smoked it. Now, some context for all of you people who don't have a clue about some of the history of powerlifting in Ireland. When I did my first proper nationals, IPO nationals, one person, a super heavyweight, squat 300 kilos. Okay? Let's pull that back to the last Division 1 at Abs Series. I think 3 people squat over 300 kilos in Division 1.
Yeah.
Right? So, and that one person wasn't me, by the way. That was actually Darren Kennedy.
Yeah.
So when he came in and squatted 310 at the Nationals he did, people were like, wow. You know, this guy, because at the time, Nero was the best squat around at 370.
Yeah.
370. So the best squat at the time was 370. And I think you finished up on 350, was it? I think you hit like 340, 350, and then you balance problem or something in the last one.
So that was...
Sorry.
So basically it was the 310, went for 335, missed it on my second, went 335 again, and then they gave me a 4th attempt on 345.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Funny the things that come back to you all of a sudden.
Yeah. So that was like our kind of impression of Jake. But I think the biggest kind of the thing was, remember when we went to Layak and like there was the old business partner of mine, got Zeppi, remember him? Yeah. And Zeppi could talk shit. Like Zeppi was the guy who really, really could get in anybody's skin and talk shit. He was loyal as a German Shepherd, as they say, but and him and Jake, used to just go at it like, and it was like you were sitting in the gym, you just couldn't listen to it. It was like, shut up.
It was hard work to be around. He was hard work to be around.
Yeah. But then on game day, competition day, it was like he was like the guy. Like he had knee wraps ready, he had this ready, he had that ready.
Great, man. He couldn't bench, so fuck, he might as well be useful for something.
Yeah, he was equipped to. But that was kind of like the whole impression of Jake was that kind of just one. He was an amazing squatter, and then
a cunt.
Yeah, I was actually when I was driving down here, I was thinking about some of the things like outside of lifting. Remember the time we went to Earth nightclub in Drogheda?
Oh, God.
And you ended up passing out on my floor in the apartment.
Yeah.
And Naomi comes into me, wakes me up, is like, "There's a large man asleep on our floor." And I was like, "Is it Jake?" And she's like, "Yeah, I forgot to tell you he passed out here last night."
Well, it goes without saying, like from the lifting side, you've both kind of had like parallel, I suppose, lifting careers. You know, you've both lifted at many of the same meets. You've contended against each other numerous times. But, you've both been training partners, coach and athlete, but you've also had a few run-ins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's...
What comes to mind specifically? Because there was obviously a decision made somewhere where you left Layok to come to Abs.
It was more, it wasn't so much a decision, it was just, I walked into Abs and I was there for a month to train to get used to for the original Abs Pro. And in 2017 that I was convinced I was going to win, which I nearly bombed out of. And Jay said to me, "Join or fuck off." And unfortunately I chose the wrong route in the sense of I didn't speak to Eamonn properly about it. And it kind of created a rift, you know. Yeah. And that was on me. That's not on Eamonn. That was actually on Jake. Do you know what I mean? And I'll hold my hands up. But we actually never really spoke about that. No. We just kind of let it under the bridge.
You know? Yeah, because I remember the very first Abs series in 2019. That was my first ever meet. You both were in the back.
Yeah.
And it was really tense.
Because we both wanted to beat each other.
Yeah.
And it was... Because Eamonn had beaten me pretty much the 2 meets prior that we competed against. So this was, and my new training style. Eamonn was coming to beat me again. And, and it was, which is a fair call. And it was a bit of a fucking, that was that energy going on. And, once I outbenched him, it was game over.
Yeah.
No,
you're all good. No, it was, So I've been thinking about this actually since you put this in the podcast. Yeah. Because I wanted to like figure out kind of how I really why did I feel a certain way and why did I do that? You know, kind of way. So my conclusion is that I was actually more disappointed because I thought Losh is a friend. Because we were
good friends.
Yeah, we were talking every day and training was the big thing and my whole thing was like squat night was Monday night. We're going to look after Jake and we're going to go up there, Because after he squatted the 400 kilos, that was like a real big moment for as a coach for me.
And for me, yeah.
But then I think that was one. And then the second thing was just kind of like this disappointment in myself that possibly that's the way. Because leg barbell ended, but it went through a bit of a hard time with some of the people in there. It was some of the people, there was some different things going on. And it drove some of the people out of leg barbell. And it drove some people away from it. That was a very hard place to be in. And I think, and I look back at it now and I can see that, kind of way. And there was a few things going on and I held onto it for a little bit longer than I probably should have, kind of way.
Well, you loved it.
Yeah. But I think as well as I looked at that and I look at kind of how you were part of some of that kind of, not you were part of the toxic, but the toxicity was affecting you. And I think mentally at the time you needed to get away from that.
Oh, well, I was a burn. Yeah. Like, as you know, and we've spoken about this, Tren messed with me, and that's not to say, but Tren fucks with, like, Dr. Mike what's his name?
Israel.
I knew the two of you would know that.
Nerds.
That's because your head's as big as his.
So I have to wear the hat.
But like he said something, I was listening to him and he said, when you're on steroids, you're under the influence. And Tren has a massive effect on me personally. It doesn't not so much on you. Back in the old days, it didn't. Not in the same way as it. No, not to say that it doesn't affect you, just in the same manner that it affected me. And when I came off it warps, as I've spoken about before, it warped my sense of reality and morality. And I think that was a big part of it, but that doesn't excuse the fact that I didn't speak openly and honestly with Amo about me leaving and making the decision for me, mostly because I was afraid. And I'll be honest, because I as much as I love confrontation, I hate confrontation with friends.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So
No.
Well, tough shit. You're on the podcast. I get to put you on the spot. So, looking back, right? So that's obviously like, 2016, 2017, 2018, that period of time, right? And it's the legend of Legatron is almost infamous in those early formative years. So much so that it's funny that most new powerlifters don't really know what it's like to get full-blown Jake the way you do, right? Is there anything from that period of time, like, do you have any like regrets about the way you conducted yourself or you acted? And look, we've talked before. I think you've matured a lot as an athlete, as a person. I still think you're you.
Yeah, I'm definitely me still.
Which is part of the reason I like we're friends, because we're both assholes.
I just buffer myself a little bit better now.
So looking back, can you think of like, that probably wasn't the best call?
Lots of them. But I don't regret them.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck them. And fuck anybody that got hurt.
Yeah.
No, but like, listen, everybody lives in this world of we take offense and da-da-da-da-da. And don't get me wrong. If I slighted somebody and they say, Jake, I'll be like, sorry. But fuck it.
Mm.
I can't be living yesterday, man.
Yeah.
Like today we have an opportunity. Me and Emma have an opportunity. Happy days. I get to say I should have spoken about it more openly and honest. Beautiful. It came naturally, this opportunity to speak about it. But I'm not going out of my way to go, sorry that I fucking tried to shag our missus. Fuck off.
No, like I don't necessarily think it's sorry, but I think it's like, I think it's good to be able to look back and say, if I was in the mindset I am now, I probably wouldn't have done that thing.
Absolutely,
but
yes.
I'm also aware that the fact that I've done that thing is part of the reason I am who I am now.
Exactly. And listen, we can only see the dots connected when we look back.
100%.
Then
let me ask Eamonn. You guys are obviously fucking super cool now. Like you train together every week, right? Was there a time when there was things that you really held against Jake that you've since let go of?
Yes.
So it's all water under the bridge to you now?
Yeah.
Always.
But the thing about it is, as you know, and say my first podcast, which is higher than your podcast.
Fuck you, ginger cunt. I have a better beard.
I've done so much like reflective thinking about my life and stuff, kind of way, and different things that have happened, and I really held it against him at the time, but I wasn't holding it against him. I was holding it against me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But he's grown literally and figuratively.
Yes. So I was making this conversation very hard. Okay,
just trying to have a moment.
Trying to have a moment with you. Okay,
sorry.
Hold my hand while we do this. So basically, I'll look back and I go, listen, I actually shouldn't have thought that way or acted that way or been that way because of the fact that a lot of that was driven by different things going on. And I was just firefighting at the time.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to see what was really going on for other people. Do you understand the way? And so I don't hold anything against him now or in the last while because I realized that. I realized that he needed to. I'm glad he found abs because I think if he didn't find abs, he probably just would have not powerlifted. And then we would have never seen the Jake total 1,000 do what he's done. Do you know that kind of way? And he's helped loads of people and now he's helping people PT. It's not a suck up moment. I'm honest.
I appreciate it, man.
It's like,
I appreciate it.
But the thing about it is that you look at all situations, like everyone thinks it's a wrong person and a right person. It's like what drove that situation.
Yeah.
Do you know that kind of way? Listen, the same competitiveness that exists now to me want to take like his total and his numbers.
Fucking lootly, and he never will.
Yeah. we'll see, mister. We'll see.
Mr. Bench 190.
Mr. False adductor injury.
Go fuck yourself.
Do you know, in fairness, it was quite upstanding of him not to come after your deadlift there because that would have been the first place I'd go.
That's fair, but then I would have just slagged his pec.
Do I even need to?
Do I need? Wow.
I wouldn't mind, but earlier on when you were saying like how you're a perfect training partner, it's like, I was shit at squats but good at deadlifts, and Jake was good at squats but he's still kind of shit at deadlifts.
Wow. Thanks.
Do you know what, actually? Jake is not bad at deadlifts. He's pulled, 360 with straps?
365, you prick.
I'm sorry.
I genuinely, I think it is you're exceptionally good at squats.
Yeah.
It's not even that you're bad at deadlifts. It's just like an embarrassment in comparison.
Thanks.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is that you would have definitely had PBs. You would have built up a PB list of deadlifts if you weren't always trying to go for that like win on the third.
Yes.
So if you were competing like a lot of the comfortable powerlifters compete today, where you compete in a competition with no actual competition, right? No, and actually you would have gone like 347 and a half. Because what's your best in comp?
352 and a half.
Well, sorry, would have went 355, 357, 360, 362.
Instead of swinging for the win every time.
Yeah, because you're like swinging for numbers that are just not
there.
It's not there. Like honestly, like sometimes like he's not going to pull 380 because to go from 360 to 380 doesn't happen like that.
But you got to take a swing.
Yeah, but that's because you're competing in competitions that are actual competitions.
Yeah, bit high stakes. High stakes.
Whereas if you were just, as I said to you, if you were just competing to put a PB on your deadlift,
yeah, it'll be easy peasy.
You would have been doing that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's kind of. So yeah, to answer your question, there was regret. There was kind of like hard feelings and stuff.
Of course, yeah.
But as you get older, as you spend a lot more time with each other, you know what I mean? I look up to him so much as a lifter and the knowledge that he's put together the last, like training abs, and every single time I nearly put like a top squat together or whatever, I always go to him, what do you think? Well, how'd that look? You know what I mean? Because I respect his opinion.
Yeah.
There's no one else in this country who's squatted what he's squatted. There's a lot of people in the world who've squatted what he's squatted. So I'm not going to ask somebody who hasn't squatted even 300 kilos, what do you think of that? You know that kind of way?
Yeah, fuck Jay.
He's training now. 200 or something. But yeah,
right, but just to be clear, he's been training about 3 weeks and he's already banging out sets of 6 at 200. I mean, come on. That's...
Oh, yeah.
Was it a set of 6 though?
Yeah.
It was a set of 3. That little pussy.
Times 2. It's just a sped up Instagram reel.
Jay, genuinely, I love Jay. And I've spoken about it before. He was, and at that time when I left Lerk and Eamonn, Jay was just the right fit for me because he made me feel like a fucking tool. Yeah. Right. And that sounds really bad. But he did. And I said this before, abs made me feel like a tool for temper tantrums and shit like that. And I was like, okay. So I just had to dial that shit back. And
in fairness to Jay, he was really, really respectful of me and came to me himself and talked to me about Jake leaving. And
at least one of us did.
Communicated with me and communicated how like he asked you to talk to me and that sort of stuff. But he said it was like because at the time we were kind of going to the same comps and all that sort of stuff. And in a little bit he was the one kind of, we see now the way Jay has driven the ab series to make competitions of people. But he was like, right, this ab series here, the one that you're talking about, I want to put you against Jake. Yeah. I was all for that. And they're like, but this makes sense because at the time, totals were similar. Yeah. Kind of way. So it made sense to have the two biggest lads. It was kind of the dawn of the idea of like a clash of titans.
Yeah, head-to-heads.
Because it was like, because Jesse wasn't really doing it at the time, was he?
Oh, Jesse was a great lifter then.
He was GPC or something, wasn't he, at the time?
I think he was bombing. No, he was just bombing out of meets usually.
Yeah. So there wasn't really anyone else around.
Yeah.
Do you know kind of way? Like, well, because the first Abs Pro had Nero, VTech, me, you, Piggott, and Arthur Lynch, I think, or something like that, right? Of those lads, because of the way IPF was, Piggott couldn't compete, Arthur Lynch couldn't compete, so it was only like really guys who can compete in IPO and stuff. So he needed to push a big kind of headline, a title fight as they call it, and that's why he pushed me and Jake, and it became a thing. So that was a little to do with it. It was like kind of fell into that competition myself, you know, that kind of way.
For sure. And let me ask, how do you feel like you three collaborate now, Eamonn, Jake, Jay? Because obviously he oversees a lot of your training. He's there for every Sunday Mass, which is, how do you feel you all work together?
Yeah, I mean, I know you sort of, you have a different opinion to Jay at times to the way his volume works.
Yeah. I sometimes a bit more collaborative with my training with Jay than you would be. You know, I'd be like, hey, this is what I think we need to do and that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And how do you find him like to work with in that regard?
Great. Yeah, like, see, the thing is, a lot of our training, because I'm in abs now 5 years, you know what I mean? A lot of our training, people see that I've only last time I competed was 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago, but we've been training so much together. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out little things like 1, my squat, right? 2, my bench press. Deadlift is not something we've had to figure out. What we did, the deadlift was, he took my opinion on board about the undiluted periodization, the light week and the heavy week.
We've talked about this. Yeah.
And he took that on and it showed. And then we did a competition. We didn't do that. And I didn't have a PB deadlift. So it was kind of like, we went back to that, you know, kind of way. He was just really, at the start, he was really frustrated on my bench because my shoulder wouldn't move. My shoulder was so bad and it just wasn't allowing me to get better.
Now he's just frustrated with Mason's bench because it's so shit.
It has gotten better. Yeah.
Oh, well, now you
can. Jay and I have actually talked.
Has he left abs?
Yeah, he's not coaching with Jay.
Lanky cunt.
Well, I mean, he did, but in fairness, he saw excellent improvement.
No, he did. And I mean, he squat 400 and, you know.
Yeah, he's a great lifter.
I think
he's
this
a nice
is,
guy as well.
We've talked it as a bit of a trend, isn't it? Jay helps lifters get really good, really noticeable, and then they fuck off.
That pisses me off.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's just so this is what I kind of say, like, not in necessarily defense of these lifters, but when you start to like improve rapidly and your name gets out there, other coaches are sliding into your DMs.
Paying you.
But that it could be paying you, it could be offering to coach you for free, it could be whatever. It's, you know, there's only so many times you can say no before it gets incredibly tempting for the athlete. You know what I mean?
So to finish off, I think that how me, Jay, and Jake, and even when Ben was involved, a bit like Westside, a bit like Louis, and the way people talk about Louis. Louis was never a coach. He would never write you a program out and say, today we're going to do this and we're going to do that and we're going to do this. Louis would sit there and be like, right, everyone's squatting today. And then you need to do this and you need to do that, and everyone does that. So that's the way Jay is with us.
Yeah,
like
well, I mean, he draws a lot of inspiration, as he's probably spoken about.
He has, yeah.
From Westside, from Louis. He admires Louis and his style. A lot of ab system is built off of Westside, and you know, it's just different.
Do you know, a lot of back when I had Jay on the podcast, when we had our, like, you know, 1-to-1 episode, the most popular episode of the podcast.
Yeah,
right?
He's Welsh.
Yeah.
So one of the big things we talked about was obviously the inspiration that Westside had for Jay's initial vision for abs. And yeah, through time, he implemented some forms of conjugate and things like that. But as time has gone on, abs has developed into its own thing. Most people are kind of running different programs now anyway, or just keeping the structure of everyone deadlifts together on a Thursday, everyone squats together on a Sunday. Yeah. But the thing that I think sets it apart, and I think the reason abs is still the number one club that it is because he took the concept of, you had a crew, and you took the concept of the crew and you applied it to whatever type of lifting it is, whether it's raw with wraps, whether it's, you know, the modern version of raw like the IPF do, and you train as a squad. And I will say that's actually one thing, as much as like I've got guys I train with on a Sunday. Vinny, obviously one of the top Gs that I've been training with for many years. Dav's good skin to train with. Mark Hayes. But like that, I don't think it's quite the same as squatting on the rack with the boys prepping for a big fucking ab series.
Yeah.
And I think that spirit is still there. And I know, like, namely, we mentioned Ben a couple of times. Ben has obviously since gone off to do his own thing. Hercules as well, who's been doing strongman.
Who looks fucking boss at the moment, man.
Shame about his elbow.
Elbow. Or shoulder, whatever.
But then the thing is about that rack as well, which is really good. It's like people like Mark Gallagher.
Yeah, right? Great guy.
And Noli.
Yeah. Noli is just like Mark Gallagher and Noli at the heart of that rack.
Yeah,
like,
they're great.
So I was helping Mark the last ab series, wrapping his knees and getting ready for the comp. And he was like, I want to get you something. You know, say thanks and stuff. You know what I mean? I was like, all I want from you is that I want you, one, to stick around and squat with me when I get ready for Clash, and two, help me out.
Yeah.
Right? And like that's
true to his word.
Yeah, he loads the bar and unloads and does everything he can for you. And that's like, but the lads, like, not even in abs, right? Anybody who's like training should look at someone like Mark, right? And go, that's how a good training partner exists. You don't have to do everything, but he's not like, oh, I have to do this for Eamonn or I have to do it for Jake. He's like, I want to help these guys get stronger. Because the whole purpose of a really good training partner, right, is their goal is to make you stronger.
Yeah.
You know? And then my goal is to make him stronger. And our goal together is to make abs stronger and to make us a better club. You know that kind of way?
Yeah.
And I think like with Jay, like as much as he's my coach, whatever, I think I just want to like show him that we can achieve
greatness.
What he knows we can.
Yeah,
you know
no,
what I mean? But that's the truth. Like he knows we can do.
He's pissed off, man. He's sick of the two of us.
Oh my God, he just wants to hit that number already.
It's the injuries, you know. That's why it's and unfortunately, man, it's just one of those things. You can't help the body, and you know, like. But Jay has, in my opinion, is finding success at every hand's turn at the moment with his regards the abs concept, the abs series concept. You know, where he's going with it. People are recognizing him finally for what he's doing for powerlifting, which is a massive thing for him, you know, and for us as a club, you know, other than when he doesn't show up on a Sunday because he's off and you off. But
remember time he video called us
having
breakfast?
Fucking prick. But like, and so, you know, it's amazing. And now you see, like, you're looking at Clash of the Titans, and next year there's going to be guys representing from India, and there's this is the sort of stuff that what was that fucking meat over in Australia called?
Big Dogs.
Big Dogs, yeah. Big Dogs. Like, this is what Big Dogs was all about. And it brought massive amounts of media and eyes on the sport. That was when powerlifting was only in its infancy. Obviously, it's been around for years, but it was only going mainstream infancy.
Yeah.
And I think with the likes of Jay and other collaborators, if they hold up the standards, it will then start becoming a more and more paid sport.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question just on that, because something I've noticed, now some of this could be related to, COVID, right? So during the period of time at the AB series during COVID, it was the only meets going. So a good number of the roster for the likes of the ABS Pro was Irish lifters. But as time has gone on and we've come out of COVID, 2022, 2023, and now 2024, there are less and less and less representatives from Ireland, not only not on the podium, but not even on the roster, right? So recently enough, I'm sure you've both seen Jesse Moran is planning a return to powerlifting to come.
Who's Jesse Moran?
That Limerick fella, I think.
Is he? Oh, I thought he was from Galway.
Was he?
He's had some choice words saying there's no one else that can do the job. You're two of the lads that are contending with some of the biggest totals in the country.
Yeah.
Firstly, the first question is, why do you think our country is currently so underrepresented? Do you think it's just due to injury or just a lack of luck or just not having a big enough talent pool at that top end? Or do you have another reason it could be? And then the second question is, what do you make of what Jesse Moran's had to say?
Do you want to start or will I?
Well, I'll go.
Okay.
So the talent pool in Ireland is miserably small in real terms, other than the size of me. But no, it is quite small. With regards to Jesse's claim that there's nobody good in Ireland, listen, he's not getting a bird's knickers off telling them that his fucking maths is much higher than my maths. No, he's out going around telling people that he's the strongest powerlifter in Ireland. On maths, and that's fine. We've all spoken about that before. And he is a great powerlifter. I'll never take that from him. But he's bombed a lot of meets. He's stormed off in meets after bombing and leaving temper tantrums and all the rest, which is fine. He's an emotional person. Making big claims, though, when he wasn't on the podium either last time he competed. But that's okay. I hope he comes back and I hope he rocks the boat and I hope he has a great meet in August. But I'll be there to beat him. That's all I got to say about Jess. Now, that's not to say I don't like the man. I think he's actually a great powerlifter. I don't know the man other than the platform.
Sure.
But he talks a lot of shit. And as I said before, I think he's the panto bad guy. I really do. I just think he's a panto bad guy. He likes the attention and he likes to talk shit, and that's okay because it works for him, and he gets the traction under his wheels that he likes for that, and that's okay because he likes to build on. He works, in my opinion, off of that hate that he thinks that he's accruing. But he doesn't. I don't hate him at all. I don't even register the fella.
Do you think he's a contender against you?
I think me and him are going to go head to head, and I think I'm going to beat him. I don't think he's a contender for the podium, though.
Okay.
I don't think anybody from Ireland is a contender for the podium this abs pro, because it's going to be a 600 dots total, or 600 dots or Wilkes winner, and 590, 580. They're thereabouts.
Do you think there's going to be lifters coming in for that meet that are capable of that under those conditions, like the power bar, walking out the squats?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, then let me ask you, Eamon, same questions. Why do you think we're seeing this diminished representation of Ireland at these huge meets that we're presenting? What do you think is the cause of it? Either the ones I listed or something you think yourself? And what do you make of what Jesse Moran's had to say?
First of all, I don't follow Jesse, so I actually don't know anything he said.
Okay.
That's the truth.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
I'll probably get some heat off Jesse for this, but Jesse made a false claim about me one day, so I just stopped following him.
Okay.
So I went down to train the City Gym. We were talking about a competition coming up. He said I'm going to total 930 plus. I said I'd love to see you total 930 plus. Fair play to you, but I think you need a bigger squat, so a bit more body weight. That was my opinion to him. And then after he totaled the 930, he put a thing up on Instagram basically saying that I was laughing that he thought he could total this, and now that and a fella who weighs 100 kilos more said I couldn't do this, so now I show him, which was completely the wrong conversation that happened.
Okay.
If anybody knows me in powerlifting, 99% of the time, all I do is like, I wish you do this and succeed. I'm not even lying. Other people, anybody says
that. I'd
right?
that.
Yeah, no, I will as well. You know, you don't talk like I know you said to him, I hope you do really well.
Yeah.
But I also know you probably said to him, but I think you need more.
Yeah, that's fine. But that's not what he said.
Yeah, that's
and
not
I said, you know what? I don't need this shit, so I unfollowed him.
Yeah, that's fair.
Can I ask you I don't want to take away from that main question, but can I just ask, just to play devil's advocate here, because Jake, you mentioned earlier on the effects that some of the PEDs that you use have had on your mental state. Do you think that could have been the case for Jesse, that maybe he interpreted what you were saying was some form of dressing him down because of the drugs?
I don't think so. I think he, as Jake said, the Panto bad guy.
Right.
And then he's also one of these guys, I believe, is a bit of a keyboard warrior.
Okay.
Because I've met Jesse in person a few times when he said some shit about other people, and he's like puts his head down and walks away. You know, maybe he'll come back to me now after this podcast and be like, no, blah, blah, blah. That's fine if he does. I'll talk to anyone and meet anyone. I don't care. But the point is that I think he finds it easy to say these things online compared to saying them in person.
Okay.
And I'm not saying I'm one of these people like, if you want to talk shit about me, you have to say it to me in person. I'm not like that. I didn't say that to him.
Yeah.
I wished him the very best. I actually made it out of my way, because I was down for a nationals comp, to go train with him. I chose a time that he was training so I could train with him and talk shit and have some fun and enjoy training with him. To then twist that conversation around to something negative it upset me and annoyed me.
Okay.
Because if I make time and effort to train with you and try and tell you this is like, and then we had a good conversation about training, we had a good conversation about PEDs and just nutrition, and I was picking his brain on things, so it's like, I really want to know more. And then to come back and kind of like twist that around as like, you said different. That's the reason why I unfollowed him. Fantastic lifter, right? Yeah. Unbelievable lifter.
Undeniable.
But, undeniable. To answer your question why I don't believe the pool is because we have, so let's take the 10, 12 guys of Abs Pro, right? Mm-hmm. Every one of them, as far as I'm aware, now correct me if I'm wrong, are probably using PEDs.
I would imagine so,
right?
Yeah.
Let's just have a little scan through my data.
So, look at Ireland, right? Me and Jake could probably name the top 10 guys who are on PEDs in the country.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So you don't have Jack Kenny, who, if he was on PEDs, probably and competed in the Abs Pro.
Call them steroids. Is that what?
Yeah, steroids.
Whatever you want. Yeah.
If he was on steroids and he was competing in Abs Pro, he probably would have a chance of. Really,
man, Jack Kenny's a unit.
Yeah,
he's savage. Yeah.
Let's take even like closer to home, something like Toaster.
Yeah.
Right. Imagine you took Toaster and said, "Listen, you're going to be an Abs Pro champion in 5 years, or 3 years time, and we're going to focus on that. So we're going to put you on steroids. We're going to learn your knee wraps. We're going to do these things." Then we'd have a chance. But we have most of our talent pool going towards IPF, which is great for the country because we're successful.
Yeah.
They're not going down the pathway needed to become an Abs Pro champion, which is steroids, learning knee wraps.
Yeah.
So that's where I kind of like, because if you look at all the guys like Dave Richardson and Boris and even Luke Tolman, these are all pre-IPF guys who then turned into Abs Pro lifters. Yeah. So if we took our IPF boys, some are really, really good IPF boys, and then said
3 years.
3 years are going to become an Abs Pro champion, I think we would actually. I think Toaster could be a future Abs Pro champion if he focused on that, but that's not his goal.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Can I ask then, do you really think the effects of steroids are that profound for strength sports?
Yes.
That they could actually push that hard and that hard to make it to that level?
Well, who did we see total like?
1070.
Yeah.
Dave Richardson from his first in 2021. Was it 2021?
He did his first Abs Pro.
Yeah. I think he totaled 9...
I can double check it. You go ahead.
940, somewhere like that, 950, maybe 960, and 2.5 years later, he jumped more than 100 kilos on his total.
He did also jump into knee wraps.
I know, but
the point is, if you're a shit lifter, right? If you're a shit lifter, steroids are not going to make you a good lifter.
No, I know loads of shit lifters that take steroids.
But if you're already an exceptionally good lifter, and I point out Toaster, for example.
Yeah, right? I mean.
And then you gave him the real knowledge around something like performance enhancement, like steroids, right? Then you turn him into a
freak of nature.
A freak of nature. And that's the Luca Tolmans. That's the Borises. Those boys were the Toasters of those countries. Like and then they jumped on and they trained in knee wraps, and their goal was to compete in these competitions. And then they came along. Even your man from Iceland, Thomas
Derry.
Yeah, the IPF is very underrepresented in Iceland. And with the introduction of WRPF through tour holding competitions, Thomas Derry has come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Because there's a competition now for him to compete in. If we had an actual competitive, non-tested federation competing in this country, like a really strong one, I know we do have, and I'm not going to put that down, but a very strong one, we would have more representation, in my opinion, at the Abs Pro.
Okay, well, I just want to answer the thing about Dave Richardson's performance. So his first Abs Pro appearance was November 2021, and he totaled 947.5. His most recent meet was January this year, so we're talking, what's that?
26 months, 24 months.
And he totaled 1070.
Yes.
He went from, if we're doing by dots, he went from 533 to 607. What's the common denominator?
But I also want
snacks.
I also believe that someone like Lenny O'Sullivan can grow into something.
If he wasn't so fucking lunatic.
But it's just the way his body responds to like food and stuff, and the way he's training going at the moment.
Man, he's a freak. He's a beast. Like he's super strong and he's a really nice guy.
Yeah, Lenny's a cool cat. Yeah,
and like if he can do 900 in April, which I believe he can do, right? See, the big thing as well is that to be a really good Abs Pro or an Abs Series dots lifter, you have to have a really good bench.
Yeah,
I think I got a shit bench, but it's the difference. There's really good squatters and there's some really insane deadlifters, but there's not a lot of guys benching 220 through 30, 240 at 100.
Yeah, the bench makes the difference,
and that's where Jesse was always able to really pull it up because he was able to bench massive and stay with the bigger boys.
He was a great all rounder.
Yeah, he was. He was a great all round, but like Eamonn said, his bench was separated him, and gave him that extra 30 kilos.
Like Lenny, I think did 220 for a double last week on the bench.
He did.
Like, so if he can bench 240, right, and then he's at 105 now, his body weight, right, and if we can hit 900, we can hit 900 in Abs Pro at about 95 because he cuts weight really easily.
Okay,
that's a big dots. I don't know what 910 at like 95 is, but it's probably
be up there. They're at 570, 580 mark.
Right, and then you give him another year where he can grow that total to 930. If we can keep the progression going on, hopefully he doesn't get injured and all that sort of stuff. Then you have a competitor.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you look at Jesse, right? Look at his last 5 meets. He didn't actually jump loads. He's great, but he didn't actually get like much better. Does that make sense?
I think his showing at Abs Pro 2022 was potentially his best that I've seen. He totaled 975.
No, he didn't.
No, Jesse
did.
No, John, that's not total 975.
Was it not 975? No, sorry, I'm mixing that up. His last pull was 375.
375.
And that would have put him on. That would have put him in number one if he'd gotten it.
Yeah.
I'm mixing that up. I think the total was. It
was
950.
He pulled for the win.
Yeah,
he pulled for the win, which is a savage goal.
So this is kind of one thing I want to say, just to chime in on it, right? So about Jesse, right? So naturally, I don't really know Jesse that well as a person, right? But I have my interest in the Abs Pro and the Abs Series is probably a little different. Getting that I get to stir the shit. I get to commentate it. I get to be master of ceremonies. So this is for me. It's the entertainment value. Like you can all lift the biggest fucking weights you want, but frankly, to the average person, whether it's
boring as fuck.
Whether it's 300 kilos or 400 kilos means nothing.
Yeah, and the more plates it is, the harder it is to count.
So
how many reds is that?
But that's what I'm saying. People want to see the individual. So I'm not sure if you guys were around for it, but at Ab Series 15 in November, I had 4 lads in Division 2, and the crowd were louder for the Division 2 battle than they were for the Pro-Am because there was an actual battle between 4 lads going for the podium because we just did some very basic build-up on Instagram, and all 4 lads were bought in, and the crowd were bought into what it was. So that was like, usually Division 2 can be like the forgotten part of the meet because it's usually on day 2. Everyone that's running the meet's fucking mad hungover. Jay's on a massive come down because he hasn't slept the whole night, and he's been doing all kinds of drugs. So
Jay wouldn't do drugs.
So, well, to be honest, there was a day I was training abs and the the chalk didn't feel quite right, so very easy could have been cocaine. But
he's not that rich.
Yeah, well, that's where all the membership money goes. But the point is that I do think building things up and actually establishing rivalries like you guys talked about for the very first Abs series. And it's one thing I always valued in Jesse. right?
Yes.
He's willing to talk shit, but he turns up on the day and is also a very good lifter, because I remember in the build-up to that ab series, Mason said he was going to get his first deadlift and then drop all the rest of it.
And he didn't.
He had a fucking good day, man. And it's that sort of thing. Like, you might say he's a bit of a shithead, he might talk a bit of crap, but he fucking turns up and he's actually good. And it's a shame, because I think his last showing at ab series against Luke Toman, it was a Clash of Titans last year. They were the Pro-Am main event, and he didn't get to show his best. And Luke was fucking on fire. And Luke is another phenomenal lifter. So I think I would love to see Jesse come back.
Yeah.
I would love to see him do well. I'd love to have him on this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to hear what he has to say, because I think don't get me wrong, people can talk a bit of shit. Everyone talks a little bit of shit, and I like that, man. Right?
That's what we're here for.
For sure, yeah. A little bit of drama, a little bit of gossip. Snip down everything Eamon said into a 60-second reel.
Jesse's a cunt.
Yeah, tag Jesse.
He's going to get that one.
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is that, like, this is what will get people to watch meets. Like, and I'm not being bad, right? The average person doesn't give a fuck if he's lift 500 kilos.
They don't care, because they don't know. They can't. It's like a car. When people see car deadlifts. Can you deadlift a car? I'm like, obviously, yeah, it's piss weight when you do it in a deadlift jack.
Yeah.
What? It's a car. But then you show them you fucking aim and pulling 400 kilos. They'll represent the car in their head as a much heavier lift.
Yeah.
Than Eamon or Dave doing a double at 410, which was fucking freaky, by the way.
Well, sorry, I don't really mean to cut across you, but I just want to give an example. This is an example I've used to a few people recently. Every single person in this country, your ma, your grandma, know who Conor McGregor is. Yeah. They've never once watched him fight.
And who else did they know? Most people, Eddie Hall.
110%. I was going to use that example. Most people know Eddie.
Right.
Like, most people, if they know Thor, it's for Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Not for the fact that he pulled 501.
Yeah.
No.
You know?
Did he? I mean, that was a gym lift. I wouldn't even call that a real lift.
Do you know what I will say about that? It was cool to have something to watch and chat about during COVID.
Yeah.
Well, me, Ben, and Jay were up and down to Carlo. We came back. Janet was so angry. Man, she was so fucking angry. What's he doing sitting here? We're watching the fucking deadlift. Oh, little angry head.
It's because you were there.
Yeah, no, it's because she wanted to kill Jay or kick him out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was going to say you were probably, in case she thought you were riddled with COVID, but I guess it was just...
No, she just wanted Jay out of the house.
Yeah, fair. Understandable.
Yeah, so like the thing is, Conor McGregor put people in seats for UFC.
Yep.
Eddie Hall moved them away from car parks and stuff to Britain's Strongest Man. Last Britain's Strongest Man had 12,000 people in Sheffield Arena
Fucking hell, man.
watching the strongman
from a car park 10 years ago.
Yeah, to now having I think Tom Sullivan won like 30 or 40 grand in pound to win a Britain's Strongest Man. Not even like a World's Strongest Man. I think Rogue Invitational was 200 grand this year to win.
Wow,
so
savage.
Like that's the point. Like Eddie Hall did so much for strongman, and people know. And the reason why he did so strongman is he played that bad guy role. The only difference with Eddie Hall and even with Conor McGregor, to be honest with you, apart from what you've seen, is that when I've talked to people on the inside about Eddie Hall, for example, he was not like that on the inside to fellow competitors.
Yeah.
And then
he's meant to be a real
sweetheart. And then Conor McGregor, I think, apart from the guys he's fighting with, he's really like he's a really nice.
Well, I mean, he's a cokehead, so he's always happy.
But he's just he's one of these guys who's like really like we're supportive of his fellow fighters and all that sort of stuff.
I've actually seen a video where somebody in SBG, a young lad, had posted a video and tagged Conor McGregor, and he like stitched it where he gave him feedback on what he was doing, his technique.
That's cool.
Man. And then Conor McGregor, like he donated money to the homeless and gave stuff anonymously. And the only reason he had to come out and tell it was him because some journalist was questioning the financials of it. Okay. So he said, I'm going to actually have to tell you now because everyone thought it was money like laundering or some
illegal. She does that through Proper 12.
Yeah. But they were like that. There was like the second the only reason he came out. So you do need bad guys, but I think you need bad guys who are also respectful on the inside also. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Do you think you would be receptive? So because this is actually a question I have about the future of how powerlifting can progress by having characters, right? So say for example, let's say we're all going to lift it. I know you fucking both beat me, right? But just hear me out, right? Let's say I fucking hop on a heap of gear and I'm actually fucking like Boris Cheshkov the second, right? And we're coming into Abs fucking Pro, right? And we make a little group chat and I say, boys, I'm going to light you up on Instagram.
Do the same.
But exactly. Do the same. It's all in good fun. You're my mates. I love yous. But
I think that would work brilliantly.
As far as the crowd know, I want you fucking dead. You know what I mean? And, in the back, like, it was actually the memory I always have. It was coming into one ab series. Jake and Jesse were going at each other, but you were all warming up on the same rack, and he went to squat, and you went to kick the bar. You're like, way, like messing with him.
Yeah.
And like I was like, it's all good. Yeah. It's all in good spirits. It's all a bit of fun. And it's for me. It's again. I'm probably biased towards this from the pro wrestling background.
Exactly.
I want to see
the heel.
I want to see the bad guys. Yeah. Like look at Powdor.
Brilliant. And a fucking so funny.
But this is the point. Great strongman, but now is getting very prominent for.
He's way better at being funny than he is a strongman.
but that's my whole point. That's why the reason why I unfollowed Jesse.
Yeah,
is that like I have no bother talking shit into a meet. Yeah. Right, it's like two fighters fighting each other, and then at the end of it,
it's game ball.
Hug each other and everything's grand.
Yeah.
In my opinion, there was no need for that comment he made about me.
Okay.
After, because we weren't going into another comp against each other. I wasn't on the same league as him for dots. I wasn't going into Abs Pro. I wasn't talking shit about him.
Yeah.
There was no build-up. There was no reason for it.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
In the same way you and Jake have previously fallen out, right? But have waters under the bridge. You're bros now, right? You're sitting here having the chats. Nobody's killed each other. Do you think you could move past it with Jesse?
Of course, I'm a grown man.
Yeah,
I'm a grown man. But the thing is, I would say to Jesse in person was like, how did you perceive that?
For what you
saw it was when it was, and I even, do you know, actually it's funny, Laura was with me down there training because we're at nationals, right? It was Laura, and I sent it to Laura and I said, listen, you were there with me. Did I say this? Because I was so like,
you were taken aback.
I was annoyed by it. I was like, did I actually say this? And she was like, no, I actually remember you saying exactly these words.
Yeah,
so that's kind of weird. Listen, you have to build a sport up.
Yeah.
Clash of Titans at the moment, that's actually something there's nothing really going on there at the moment. So maybe you need to start doing that. But a lot of it is actually a bit between. The funny thing is that Fernando is getting.
He's got the American.
Getting so slept on.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Because people are seeing Nicholas Dupree and Dave putting up these and they're unreal. Fernando is the current champion.
Yeah.
Right? And I spent time in Germany with Fernando. Fernando hasn't even got close to his final form at the moment. Like the stuff he was doing, like even to win class last year. He ate like 3 McDonald's the day before he competed. Kind of way.
Sounds like me.
To what he's doing now.
Yeah.
Working with like Greeno as a coach, he's a very good coach. Working with a guy called Frankie Pro as a pro bodybuilder, but a performance nutritionist, and he's gone back to work so he can kind of get a bit more stability in his life. And like that Fernando is a dangerous Fernando. A really dangerous Fernando, right? Nicholas Dupree is an unbelievable just monster of a man.
Freak.
But will Nicholas Dupree be able to land that plane? Do you know that kind of way? Because he doesn't have a coach. He doesn't have like an old wise head at the corner telling him, maybe we don't need to do 400 this week.
Yeah.
Maybe we just take that back to 380, leave some in the tank, and you've got 400 plus at competition. But then Dave has a great coach, and he's hitting his nutrition, and his supplements are going. He's smashing it. Would he land that plane? He probably will, and he's also very experienced.
Yeah, he's a great technician on the day as well.
Yeah,
he makes very mature decisions.
And then we got Dan Bell.
Yeah,
Dan, talk about a wild card, man.
Yeah,
Dan fucking Bell. You know what I mean? Like I saw Dan Bell compete at Ghost Clash, and it was one of the most impressive performances I ever saw in my life. He squatted 480 or 490 drunk.
Drink scores light. Yeah, you were saying that at the back.
Everyone else is cracking open cans of Monster.
He's drinking Coors.
And he's drinking Coors Light, But he's so he was there before he was warming up to squat, the girls were squatting. He was actually loading bars for the squat for the girls. Not for people he was helping, not people who trained with him.
Warming up?
No, he was just like actually putting plates on. He was like going around, everything okay, and doing the mono. Everyone else was like sitting there with the music on and doing all this, like getting in their mode. And Dan Bell, who like told us the all-time world record, was just helping people and walking around and seeing everyone's okay and shaking hands and stuff. Like,
I think that's why people gravitate to Dan, though.
Yes,
like he is like, even I don't know the dude. I mean, we've conversed through Insta and shit like that, but I don't know the dude. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But like, you just gravitate to him because he just seems like
he's a good lad.
Guy, yeah. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward. I'm sick that I'm not competing with him and on the platform. But I'll be backspotting there, so fuck it, whatever.
Do you know, I will say that, like, as much as that is obviously a bit of a loss for you, I'm happy to know that you're going to be on the platform anyway, because I think even previous meets where we've had these monstrous numbers going up, it's good to know that there's a strong motherfucker behind you.
What did we kind of thought about the other day? So here's a question for you, Jake.
Yeah.
What do you think the lightest opener is going to be at Clash for squats? The lightest.
The lightest be about 410.
Lightest?
Opener. Oh, no, opener, sorry. Usually I'd say it's going to be between Fernando and Dave. That's not a knock on either one of them, but I think Dave will probably open the lightest from my experience of what I'm watching, that's the way.
Well, like a 340?
No.
320? 350?
Like I'm talking 380 opener, 390 opener.
I'm open 350, so I'll be lighter than that.
Oh, fucking hell, you're shit.
360.
I forgot that you're doing it.
Yeah, I know. Thanks.
Sorry.
Are you doing it?
No. Well, I could sit out scratching.
So what do you think the lightest?
Oh, well then yours, you shit.
Yeah. But and then Tom Smith be around the same.
Okay, I'm as much as I was up to date until I got injured, I just I had to close my eyes to that. I had to put blinkers on it. Now that's no offense.
Reorientate towards.
Yeah, because I had to change trajectory. Otherwise, I would have just ended up wallowing, and I don't need to wallow. I need to go.
What do you think, Ian?
Lightest opener on squats?
Yeah.
I think it depends, right? Because one thing I know about these super heavyweight meets and the pro meet as well is that I think lifters make decisions where they're like, I'm going to full send a massive squat, and then anything I get after that is a bonus. Max Kleinbacher, however you pronounce his name.
Crazy motherfucker.
Super fucking strong and a fantastic presence on the platform. Big fan of watching him lifting, right?
Absolutely.
But what I've seen him do is he's gone out and fucking blew his load on an opener.
Red lines him.
And taken like a 5 kilo jump for a second. So I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of the fun of it. Because, we have the old school play by the book. Open light, take an ambitious second if the opener went well, and then you kind of can squeeze out that winning inch on the third, right?
But, right, here's the thing. Those rules, those ideas come from a world of
conservative
moderate lifting.
Yes.
Where you take a client of yours and their biggest squat might be 270, 280. You're like, how do I get into that 280 without just, like, it's not that you don't want to go 3 for 3 on squats, but 360 as an opener, 380 as an opener is huge weight.
Massive weight.
You know what I mean? And it's like that kind of, it's like it doesn't play the same game. As Jay always says, super heavyweight powerlifting is like a different type of powerlifting.
100% agree.
I'm just putting it out there because it's like this competition is going to showcase some unbelievable numbers, even as openers. Do you know that kind of way? And it's going to show like what's possible.
Yeah.
And then you take some of these Polish boys.
Yeah, that's a thing. Actually, I'm gonna hopefully soon enough be hosting a Zoom call with the Polish boys because they're contending for the number 1 Polska lifter.
And the way they lift, that kind of like former Soviet bloc lifting because they have that influence in their programming is so different. Like Boris, for example, they do so much frequency and volume that you actually don't really know what they're going to lift because
very Luke Tolman-esque.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this from. Like, I have the advantage of I get to be on commentary for all of these flights.
Yes.
And I've gotten to watch many of the Abs Pro events. Then last year, we had the first Clash of Titans. And it's a very different flight of powerlifting. It's not like the Pro.
What was your thoughts on the first one, before and after? Say, what was your thoughts before you go into it? What was your thoughts after it, about the first Clash?
I kind of didn't know what I would think of just obviously most powerlifting meets in the world are usually weight classes and totals, right? So, like, that's what I lift in the Irish PF. So I didn't really know what it was. I thought it was interesting because obviously the weigh-in fundamentally, not that it didn't matter, but the dots scored and Wilk scored.
It did matter though for third place.
Fair, yeah, it did actually ultimately matter. But
that's true.
What I mean is that like lads weren't cutting weight into this. Yeah. They were coming in bigger and stronger. So I thought, my first initial thought coming in is all the lifters are dropping like fucking flies because we had 6 pullouts with injury all in and around the same time.
It lasted 3-4 weeks
because he's all swapped your fucking gear. Right, that's
something else you spoke to me about and actually makes a lot of sense. And yeah, sorry, I don't mean to cut across you, but we've spoken about that.
Yeah, it's the funny joke of like they say coming into a meet, don't change anything, keep everything the same, except all the gear. Let's fucking take more gear
or change it altogether.
Yeah. To change what I'm taking, In any case, so I was like, what type of lineup are we even going to have, right? And then I was full on. I thought Dave was going to take it because he had the experience on the platform. Fernando had to fly in. But then, man, Fernando started lifting. I was like, holy shit.
And he's a quiet little horse in the back. Like, he doesn't get hyped. He doesn't talk much. Yeah, he talks after.
They were saying his like warm-ups for deadlifts. He pulled 220. He's like, yeah, I'm good. Something like that. And then he went out.
Yeah, he takes massive leaps. But again, that's a super heavyweight thing. Like with my squats, you do that as well. My squats, I mean, I do 50 kilo jumps. I open on 380, 390, and I'll do a 30 kilo jump to my next, and then whatever I need, then, you know, that's all right. When you see with Dan Bell, the likelihood is he's going to come out, he'll open potentially 430 or 432 to claim the heaviest squat ever, all right, on his opener.
Do you think he'll hit depth?
Yes.
I think he'll get his opener. I think he's going to struggle with the lockouts. And that's not a knock on D.
Well, the thing
it's just he's soft-kneed in almost everything. And that's not a knock on him, but he is.
The thing about Dan, I had this conversation with him. If he has someone calling him good, he'll squat to whatever call is called. So he calls to the 3-2-1 from Tom Cal at these meets. So like we organised a handler for him at the competition, and I know he'll call him deep. He'll make sure he's there. So I think Dan. I think a lot of people in this world really suffer with that inch difference between squats.
That's not what my missus says.
But I don't think he will.
Right, great.
Well, anyway, continue your points, thoughts before and after.
So to answer, like I was like struggling with the idea of how is this gonna be that much different to I was still like with the Abs Pro is kind of like the crown jewel in the fucking arrangement. But now I'm like, Jesus, could Clash be the bigger meet?
100%.
And it actually makes me think, because naturally the 3 main Ab series per year, right?
Yeah.
And I think having like Clash of Titans, the Abs Pro, because these are very different. One is everything is set up to have the biggest totals. The monolift, the deadlift bar, it's total only, you know what I mean? And then you've got Abs Pro, which is the harshest conditions, and it's on formula. So it mixes things up. You can have lifters of all different shapes and sizes. And then I think we need something for that November meet. So I'd get your thoughts on this, and then I actually do have something I want to ask you about right after that's a bit more closer to home. What if that was sleeves only?
I think that would be a fantastic idea. And I'd love that to be a win. Because I'd love to squat. I know Reece just done 412.5 in sleeves. Not just done, a couple of months ago he done it, under 140. And I think I have the capabilities of doing 940 pounds in sleeves under 140. Yeah. And I'd love to take that record, you know.
I don't think it's a good idea.
Because he can't do it himself.
No. Listen, sleeve things class, I get it. But Abs is growing now to a point of what really drove and what drives Abs is Division 1, Division 2, that sort of stuff. If we don't have that November meet where we can really showcase a Pro-Am and Division 1 more without the kind of the super lifters.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so Clash and Abs Pro are the likes of you and Boris and me and Nicholas Dupree and that sort of stuff. And then the November one is where we get to push that homegrown talent. Because if we want to grow that Abs Pro we're talking about, right? Yeah. We need to have that comp to grow that.
To allow people to level up through Irish.
If we put a sleeve thing in there, we're going to get English lads again, we're going to get Icelandic, we're going to get Americans coming, and they're going to be like, listen, I want to put that big total up. And then what's going to happen is we're not going to expose those Irish people, those Irish lifters to a Pro-Am setting and Pro-Am lifting and increase that talent pool.
Yeah, well, let me clarify, because we obviously have a Pro-Am at each one anyway. Yeah. So I mean, as a separate thing. So like the one Jay has actually previously tried was the IPF approved Pro-Am. And then he's talking about now potentially a USAPL approved Pro-Am. That kind of excludes you, Jake. But
shocker.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like,
no, I get you. But what I'm trying to say is when you put a specialty into the competition, like Clash Titans is total, Abs Pro is the big one for the money and the kind of accolades of that, right? When you put that specialty in, you attract those specialist lifters, right? If we left it as just a Pro-Am, right? So not a particular reason behind it or anything like that. You're not like, I realistically am going to look and be like, right, I'm going to compete at Clash. I might do something in September, whatever. If I'm doing November, it's not the same as Clash or Abs Pro. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I might not do it because I might not have any competition for total or whatever, that sort of stuff, where we get a chance to expose people who are at the cusp of nearly 500 dots.
Yeah, like the Nollies and stuff like that.
But in an environment of guys around that. So nobody's coming in and dots in 600.
And obliterating the rest of the competition.
Exactly. And that November comp is a great chance because just before Christmas, it comes off the back of Abs Pro. So some guys are going to do really well to Division 1 in April, right? Then have a chance maybe of doing the Pro-Am in August, and then they can really push hard in November and put themselves in a good contention for 2025. If that comp is a sleeve-only specialist, like a thing in itself, I believe we're going to fill that Pro-Am with guys like Luke Tolman, Jake.
A different roster, yeah.
And then that's going to push those Irish boys down.
Back down, yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, so I appreciate your points. I actually don't think either you're necessarily wrong. But I'm not saying do this in place of the current Pro-Am.
You're doing like the Clash of the Titans, and then so it will be its own.
That's how it
yes.
exists.
But what I'm saying is, if you do that, right?
I get you. You're trying to say those boys might be attracted to do this specialty meet, so they can like almost like a Triple Crown thing.
Yes, and what happens then is that even though the Pro-Am is underneath the Clash, it's not the main event.
Yeah.
Even though the Pro-Am is underneath the Pro, it's not the main event.
I get you. This allows that to be.
We need the Pro-Am to have that main eventness.
Sure.
So therefore, the guys who are at 5'10", 5'20" get to be exposed to what it's like to be the main event.
Yeah, for sure. I think that makes sense.
And we can, and if it's not a specialty and there's not a big prize money, we can then have a chance to push and grow more Irish talent.
Yeah.
And than international talent. Because we have enough international comps at the moment with the Abs Pro, Clash of Titans, and the Reach comp that was announced today. Do you know kind of way? And we've got Germany and there's other ideas. So if we kept November as something for Ireland, we could even make it the Irish Championship. Do you know kind of way?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Then we're looking at the bigger picture, keeping Irish lifters growing.
Yeah, no, I think that it makes sense. Yeah, for sure. And I like that idea. It kind of also keeps November as the original vision of what the Ab Series is. Yeah. I get that idea. Okay, so I don't want to keep you here for a whole pile more time, but I do have a couple of other things I want to touch off. And this is going to be a good one, right? So I'm going to lean in for this a little bit more. Right, Jake, your next meet is Abs Pro.
Abs Pro.
In August.
Yeah.
So Abs Pro is formula. So that for those that don't know, that is your body weight's taken into consideration with your total, and that spits out a number, and that number is how we decide the winner. So
is this year going to be Wilkes again on the Abs Pro?
I've no idea. I've no idea. So. Well, let's say it's Wilkes, okay? Are you planning, as you've mentioned, I think we mentioned at the very beginning, you've cut about 30 or so kilos of body weight.
Yeah.
Are you planning to come in leaner and lighter than you have previously?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I plan on being around 135 coming into this.
Okay. So then, Eamonn, we've had conversations in the past on the podcast where we've talked about, and right now you're gaining, you're bulking into Clash. What is your current body weight?
181.
Okay, so not the heaviest you've ever been, right? No. But it's still a fucking whole lot of human.
Well, it's actually planned. So the plan with Ellis is that was that I was up at 185. I'm going down to 181, and then if I'll do that, I'll come down to like 178, 177. And then 5 weeks out, I'll come up again.
Okay,
so that's one of the different protocols we're running differently this year.
So it kind of paints the picture, though, what I'm trying to say. It's still like everything north of 160 is massive.
Well, right? I plan to come into the comp at 190.
Okay, so from working with Jake, as long as you have, and the priority that you place on just being the biggest you can to get the biggest result you can.
Yeah.
Do you think Jake can be stronger at 135 than he was when he totaled 1,000?
Yes.
Okay. Why then do you think you need to be as big as possible to get the results you're going to get?
I'm not genetically as gifted as Jake is to powerlift.
Really?
Yeah.
That I don't think I believe that.
Well, that's
your thought.
Well, I have think about it this way. I've got gammy knees.
Right.
Right. I have really long arms.
Right.
Right. So like those two things affect the squat and the bench press. I'm good at deadlifts, right? Jake comes along, first comp squats 290. I don't think you pulled like 300, didn't you?
290 that day as well.
Yeah. So not only was his squat like considerably good, but his deadlift was good as well. And his bench press, you have short enough arms for the bench press. He's good at bench pressing.
That's why my deadlift sucks.
So I do think he can be a better Jake, because the thing about Jake at 1,000 really maximized training. The drugs were what you chose. You put what you put into yourself, and nutrition was.
Yes, I was eating McDonald's.
Yes,
literally living on Macca's.
We talked about it.
Yeah. So if Jake is 135, but Jake is 135 with a Tommy Staunton in his corner helping him, it's a very different Jake.
Okay.
Whereas I'm doing this a total of 1,000, but I'm also nearly doing it with nutrition on point and the drugs being looked after by somebody else. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm doing all these things, and I still believe I have to be bigger to do it. Does that make sense? Whereas he did 1,000.
153.
Yeah, 153, but as eating shite and no real consensus plan around your drugs.
No, I was just ramming it in.
Yeah. Well, take someone like Tommy involved, and if you get on with him, that's a very different Jake.
Yeah, okay. And I actually agree with that sentiment completely. But then, Jake, for you, so obviously you've reframed your
thought process.
Your thought process on bodyweight.
Yeah.
And what it might mean for you and the people around you. Do you think Eamonn could be stronger if he is even being lighter?
I think Eamonn would be the strongest he'd ever be at 145 to 150, personally. And the reason why, because I seen you do a 910?
Yeah.
910. You go for a 400 kilo pull. 4, 0, 0, right? And I seen that, and I know what you were capable of. So to me, I understand you're putting your mass on your ass. Well, actually, you have no ass, but you're putting mass on your body frame to get that squat. But I think, and this is not a knock, actually, but I think you've lost sight of how strong you're physically capable of being at a lighter body weight. Now, you knock 1,000 out. I know you want 1,002.5, right? You're not getting it. No, I do hope you get it, actually, in fairness to you. You hit your goal. I personally, and I've said it, and I'll be honest with you, and you know I will, I personally think you need to drop 40 kilos plus and get yourself into a position where you're happier in your skin. And I know you're happy in your skin, but I think your deadlift isn't as strong as it could be right now because you're not levering into the... When at 145, you could throw 380 for a double.
Yeah.
At 180, 380 for a double, you're working hard because you have to stiff leg it right now.
Yeah, maybe.
And that's not a knock. I'm not trying to pick on you.
God damn you.
Well, look, can I just say, this is kind of the point, right? With the reason I bring this up, it isn't for artificial controversy to make each other uncomfortable. It's frankly, too often people sit around here and fucking play with each other's Mickeys when they're on the podcast. So I'm saying, you guys have had discourse, you've had disagreements, and you can have opposing stances without thinking the other person's a complete asshole.
I mean, his squat has leapt up massively. Yeah. And I mean, I can understand that. But I also think if you put that graft in to coming down in body weight, like you put into your legs, coming down in body weight, I think you'd be able to maintain a serious amount of strength and hit 1,000 kilos in the future at a lighter body weight. And I know you're going to knock down 1,000, but I think in the future, going forward, every time you aim for it again, come down 10 kilos. You know, that's right.
Yeah. I was like 150 after bicep surgery.
Were you?
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
okay.
You were teeny tiny.
Teeny tiny.
Yeah, 150 after bicep. Listen, it could possibly be the case. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You won't know till I try it.
Yeah.
And if I want to try it, you know, that kind of way, if I want to, because if I do the 1,000, 2.5 and get Jake to wipe his name off the board.
He's not having it.
I think he has a shot at it.
I know I do.
Here's the question though. If I do the 1,000, 2.5, will you wipe your own name off the board?
I will.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Excellent. So this is kind of part of the reason I want to talk about these things, right? So just to be clear, right? It's your own fucking life. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, of course.
Right? You can do all the cocaine you want.
And I love it.
Right?
That's why I got a big nose.
You can both do all the fucking drugs you want. And you can fucking be whatever body weight you want. This is not a case of telling what you can and can't do, but it's just trying to understand the rationale and the thought process. I think we can all, I'd say there's a laundry list of things the three of us all agree on. And I'd say there's a laundry list of things we all disagree on.
Absolutely.
Like, so for example, I can see the validity in why you both use performance-enhancing drugs. You both use PEDs. I don't see that being a thing for me.
Ever.
Not necessarily, right. I'm not never going to say never because I don't believe in doing that, because on a previous episode of this fucking podcast, I ragged on cunts for fucking whacking painkillers and deep heating all into them at nationals on the lads. We're doing 9 lifts, only for me to need to do it then at the Christmas qualifier because my knees were hanging off me.
I'll see. Oh, actually saw some cool today. You can now buy the free sleeves on Amazon. You put them in the freezer and
for the old men.
Put them on your knees.
Yes.
It's a great idea though. You put them on like a knee sleeve and you sit in there.
That's actually a pretty cool idea.
Yeah. Solid thing.
Pop.
So my point is that like I would never take. I don't ever want to take as strong a stance as to say never say never, because you never actually know. But like for what I see from my life at the moment, like, almost definitely not.
Yeah.
But I don't dispute. Like I'm glad you guys do it because I could see some fucking cool powerlifting.
Yeah.
So this is what I mean. Like frankly, right? And this, when we did our last episode, Eamonn, I know you got a lot of heat over some of the things you had to say about body weight and health and things like that. Man, I got fucking heat. Like people were like, why didn't you call him out on more of these things? I'm like, well, one, my job, this is not a gotcha moment. This isn't I have you here now and I'm going to corner you and I'm going to fucking have this really fucking uncomfortable conversation.
It's mates sitting around having a chat.
Yeah, that's
what they want. What do they want you to call me out on?
The claim that you're healthy at your current body weight.
Well, how did it, like, what were you going to, like, what did they actually want you to go, you're not? Is that what they wanted you to say?
I don't know obviously what people wanted me to say, but I definitely think people wanted me to push back more. Here's the thing about it, right? The way I will use this podcast is I'm happy for everyone to make their claims, whether I agree with them or not, right? And don't get me wrong, I'll make it apparent whether or not I think it's a factually correct statement, but I'm also willing to stand on the ground of, look, I don't fucking know. I could be wrong. I think the older you get, the more you realize we don't fucking know everything, you know? So it's a case of, do I value having Eamonn as a friend, a training partner, a fellow club member, and a returning guest now for his 3rd visit to the podcast, more than I say, listen up, you fat motherfucker. You're fucking wrong.
No, I get that. And you know what? As much as you like to be antagonistic enough to get a response that you want to get, you want to be so antagonistic that people go, fuck it.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way. Like, I know some of the things that you put up for some of the minis, people were like messaging me there. He's very mean to you. Why is he saying that? And I'm like, it's just discourse. We're just having a chat.
Yeah. We're having a chat. And this is why I wanted to bring this up. Like, did you get to listen to any of the episode 2 of
it? I didn't listen to them all, but I listened to half of one and half the second one, and I kept meaning to come back to it.
But in any of the things Eamonn said about himself, his body weight, his health, is there anything you would disagree with?
I mean, personally, I think, you know, as being a bigger dude, right, I know how unhealthy I personally felt. And this is like when people ask me to give them advice on steroids, all I can ever give you is my own experience. And as my own experience, when I hit 160 and I couldn't fucking breathe, I didn't like it. So I can only imagine that it's uncomfortable to be 400 pounds. Right? Because at 160, it was very fucking damn uncomfortable for me. But if you feel healthy inside yourself, because I mean, there's lots of people, I feel great at the moment. I feel super. There's lots of people that look at me and go, he's a fat fuck. Do you know that's the way? So I can't say, you know, hand on heart, I think you would be a healthier man and a happier man, lighter down. I can say that, but I can't say it's right or it's wrong. You know, that's the way. I would like to see you happy and strong and as the best version of yourself. Do I think at 185 it's going to be that? No, I think you will come down happier. And when you get to that point in your life, personally, I think you're going to be a happier person. Same way as I did. I had to get there myself, though. I had to, as you said, reframe my vision. And now I'm looking at it and going, because at 160, I was like, oh yeah, fucking deadly. But I'm waddling. I was like, Jay called me a penguin because I was in the fucking black and white singlet one day. and I was like, oh yeah. You know, and it was great, but I wasn't winning.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you know what? It's time to make a change. And that was me. I hit a point and I went, it's time to make a change. And I want to keep moving that way. And I'm loving my life at the moment. But there's lots of people that look at me and go, what's that fat fuck doing? but I feel healthy. I feel better, and I feel stronger than ever. And that's all I can say about it, because we can only. I mean, I can say I don't think it's the best course of action for Eamonn, but then Eamonn knows his own body and his own mind. So
okay, yeah, I think that's totally fair.
What's the question again?
Just let me just. I think one thing I would want to say to you.
Okay, go ahead.
Is when I asked about, do you think Jake can be even stronger than when he put up the 1,000 at this lighter body weight? And you said yes, but no for yourself. And I get your motivations and reasons. Obviously, look, I have a very two-dimensional viewpoint of you as an athlete because I've only been training with you X amount of time, right? And you know yourself a lot better than most other people. But I also think it's a disservice to yourself, because one thing I can say that I've learned about you, right? Naturally, I think you're quite intelligent as a person. And this is, I don't want to blow a lot of smoke up your hole here. This is all just objective viewpoints. Like our first podcast together, the first 30 minutes were not even us talking about powerlifting. We're talking about psychology, right? Which I found personally very interesting. I feel like we have good conversations completely unrelated to lifting. And I think you've got some interesting viewpoints on this sport, other sports, and the grand sport psychology. I'm not saying we're going to sing from the same hymn sheet and everything, but I always learn when I talk to you. But the other thing I've noticed about you, and one thing I do greatly admire, is most lifters, when they get hit with their, you can speak to this as well, Jake, when they get hit with their first hurdle, right? So when you tore the bicep, that's a big hurdle. You rehabbed and you rehabbed and you fucking came back.
Yeah,
right?
Most run away. He doesn't.
Yeah. And you fucking came
back.
He
can't run.
I've seen that motherfucker going with a sled, man.
I know.
He can move.
I know.
Right? So you came back, right? And then even when it happened, we talked about it. You were so logical. Jay, I need to go to the hospital. And he was like, can you stay for the medals? You know? But you were so logical about it, right? And then the same thing with the pec. We were meant to do a podcast and you're like, can't think of throwing the pec, have to go into the hospital. And it was just so, you were like, sorry about that. We'll get it done once I kind of know what's going on. And then you've just come back and you've been putting the work in, and we're whatever we are, 8 weeks out, 12 weeks out.
8 weeks.
So we're close, right? So
taking along.
I'm not trying to tell you, you need to adhere to my vision for what I think powerlifting is. And I think Eamonn should be, 40 or 50 kilos lighter and then lift, because that would suit me, right? I just think that, yeah, right, do what you want. If you want to be fucking 200 kilos and total 1,200, that'd be fucking awesome as well.
That would be fucking awesome.
For me as a spectator, either case is good. I like big superhuman characters. But for what I'm saying for you as an athlete, as my mate, as my friend, as my training partner, I think you could do it. Now, you might say, yeah, but why? Why bother? And I'm like, because I think you can. And maybe just because you can, that doesn't necessarily mean you should. But I think if we look at things outside of lifting, and maybe you'll disagree with me and say it's not reflective of your health, but I think you at 130, 140 is a healthier version of you than you are now. And I think you could actually be stronger.
You ever see the photos of him with a six-pack?
I've seen the photo of him when he's 90 kilos.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Yeah. He's like it's a weird looking orangutan. Bald orangutan.
And I just want to say, because again, I don't want to keep now, just so you know, this is not me to kind of pin you down. And I said it to you before we started. It was your first episode we had. Everyone was so empathetic to the story you told about your motivations around your squat.
Yeah.
And still one of the probably one of the most, I think, heart-wrenching moments I've ever had here. And thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah, man, it was that one made me feel.
Yeah. And I, for more so just for the brute honesty in it, because it's obviously not an incredibly flattering thing to say.
I'll be brutally honest in this.
Yeah, right? You are though.
No, be brutally honest. One, why the fuck would I, right, who've spent the last 4 or 5 years dieting and using food to performance and using different drugs and stuff and push myself to get to this stage where I'm within a grasp of achieving.
Oh yeah, you are there. You're,
you know what I mean?
Right there.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would I not do it?
Yeah.
In a way, like this whole thing of coming down to 145. Yeah, you could be right, Jake. Right?
Yeah.
It's that's another 5 years of work.
Yes. Yeah.
Because that's not dropping down to 140. Right? Dropping 40 kilos.
It's going to change everything.
It's going to change everything.
Yeah, I know, but I wasn't speaking about tomorrow.
No, I get that. But I don't want. I'm not 5 years more in this.
Yeah. You're sort of done and one and done nearly.
I'm achieving this goal, and I'm moving on to my second goal, which is still of 1,000 pounds.
That's a fair call,
right?
Yeah,
still of 1,000 pounds. That's going to be a leaner version of me anyway, because of the simple fact I don't need to be that big to squat anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as people want you to call me out on this and health, I'll even post my bloods on Instagram if they want. I'm bloody healthier now than I've ever been.
Okay.
Right? If Ellis Fine, who I hired nutrition in September, told me that you'd be better off totaling 1,000 kilos at 160, he would have gave me a plan. I would have been 160.
That's fair.
Because we put the goal together to be under 150 for my surgery for the bicep. It's the same guy I worked with.
And you achieved it.
We were 149 the day of my surgery.
Yeah.
Because the plan goes in, I execute.
Yeah.
Okay? Ellis was a strong man himself, and he's worked with some of the big guys that are doing it, right? He fuels me to hit the numbers to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I completely take your point about the deadlift on, Jake. But at the same time, pulling 400 kilos and only squatting 350 doesn't get the...
No,
you know what I mean?
I get that.
So, like, as much as everyone, like, I think the biggest thing that came out of the second podcast, right?
Yeah.
Was that I proved my theory about confirmation bias. That we have this, I don't know if you listened to it, but basically, everyone comes into this sport. A lot of us come in to lose weight, look better.
Yeah.
In that kind of way. So we have this bias towards the motivation behind doing something.
Okay.
So if I challenge that bias, that being a bigger person, but being a stronger person is okay. Not that it's like healthy, but it's okay to be this person and to not be like, oh no, I need to cut. Fucks with people's minds. They don't understand that that's something that somebody else wants to be. You know, like in a way, it's like, no. I started, and I don't want to be bigger. I want to be smaller.
Yeah, what happened to the body positivity movement?
You know, that kind of way. It's like
it doesn't apply to
like
dudes.
I know, yeah.
It's like why, like that's the whole thing. Is like this confirmation bias towards what they believe is the best way to do things.
But it works for you.
Walk a day in my life. Walk a day in my head where you're all of. I literally sat in my car, right? I don't know if I said this to you before in the podcast, right? Got told by the doctor that the pec had ripped completely off the bone. It's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Sitting down here.
It was actually here.
Right.
That's why it hasn't came back. Right? And I was like,
fuck.
I started fucking crying. So I put so much work into Clash Titans.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you were on fucking
You were
fire.
looking fantastic.
Right? I got the surgery. I end up back in hospital with an infection for 7 days. I nearly died because the infection score was so high. Right? It's not me fucking boo-hoo. I'm telling you my mindset behind this.
Story, yeah.
I sat in a hospital bed for 7 days with no TV, my phone to go through Instagram, right? Right? And I said, whatever the fuck I have to do, I am getting on that platform next year and I'm totaling what I know I can total, what I can do.
Yeah, that's fair.
Whatever the fuck I have to do.
8
right?
weeks, man.
And I believe my picture, my Mona Lisa, puts that me at a bigger body weight. Because, simple statistics, there's a higher amount of people who weigh more who've totaled 1,000 kilos. Let's put that out there, right?
Yeah.
He's going to do 1,000 plus at 135. But I don't know if you would have ever achieved 1,000 if you didn't do it heavier.
Well, I remember years ago you said to me that I needed to be 150 plus to hit the 1,000, and you did say that in Laoch, and I was like, no, and I was 150 plus when I done it.
So the point I'm trying to make is that I spent a whole year with mindset to get on this platform and stuff. So for anyone out there, I'm healthy because I work very hard on being healthy, right? Yes, I'm 400 pounds.
Yeah, but you like me that.
Yeah, I'm 400 pounds. Just because I'm 400 pounds doesn't mean you have to be 400 pounds. There's guys in our gym, like I keep bringing Toaster because I watched him squat, like train yesterday.
He's a freak.
He's gonna do things that I'm never capable of. That's Toaster. That's not me.
Yeah.
Right? I'm gonna do what I can do, and then I'm gonna do what I want to do. Right? So if I challenge your confirmation bias, I apologize. But think about why it pisses you off, not why it pisses me off, for you to believe that what I say is wrong.
Well, I'll tell you from a friend's perspective, right? Genuinely, from a friend's perspective, I do worry, and I do get, because I know carrying that much mass is heavy work. I know because I've been a 160 fat fucker, and I look like a bag of silage in a singlet, right? And so as what the road that I walked down, how unhealthy I felt, makes me kind of go, I do hope that you get your goals, you smash your goals, and then you take the same, you get to reframe like I've been able to through the gift of injury, as pussy as that might sound. But it actually, you gave me that book. Through the gift of injury, I got to reframe, and through the gift of achieving your goals, I hope that you get to reframe.
Yeah. Well, here's a question for you. How long have you known me? If I decide after this competition I want to be 150,
you will be.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, no, and you will be. I know you will be.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
No, if you wanted to be 150 in 2 months, 3 months, I know you.
Exactly.
You'd strip it down.
It's just not. I'm doing this the way I think it needs to be done.
That's a fair call.
And I'm working with people who have the same picture as me. As I said, if Ellis Vine, a guy I really trust, said to me, if Jay said to me,
you need to do this at this,
but they're not. You know what I mean? They're telling me let's achieve this, right? That's this small picture of your life, and then let's get to where, let's put you in a different position where you need to after that.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I'm not going to try and total 1,000, and then right, I told 1,000. Now I want to total 1,100. That's not my mindset. Like, I don't think I have the capabilities, especially with the bench press going the way it is, to total over 1,000 more than once.
Okay.
Because I'm going to need things to hit perfectly. I'm going to need my squat, my deadlift, and my bench to hit
perfectly. It's all got to be perfect on the day.
Yeah. So that's okay. So, fair enough, people want you to call me out because they think I'm putting out information there that tells people it's okay to be fat.
If he was a woman, it's okay to be fat.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if he was a woman, so he'd be on fucking Vogue magazine in a bathing suit.
Yeah. But the thing about it is,
sexy little bitch.
God. Super sexy Flanders. The point is, listen, lads, just put a goal in your head and work towards it with everything you have. And when you achieve that goal, it'll be well worth it.
It's not. It's depressing.
I know. But when you achieve that goal, it'll be worth it, right? Your goal could be to do that at a certain body weight. That's okay. I sat around a table at Eisenhart in Germany with 7 guys who total 1,000 kilos and 1 guy who totals over 1,100.
They were all monsters.
Graham Hicks.
Yeah. He's what, 160, 170?
Not one of them told me I had to be lighter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we had a conversation about body weights and that sort of stuff. And a lot of them were like, I push to, some of them were like, I eat to be a certain body weight. Some were like, I just eat. And some were like, yeah, I don't really care. And it's like, I actually asked a few of them, what do you think about, having to be in? And Graham Hicks was a bit kind of like, do what you need to do. You know what I mean? Do what you need to do. And everyone was just like, very like, at the top, it's a bit more like, do what you need to do. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's not the same judginess that happens from the little poppy powerlifter who squats 200 and is 7,000 euro, A7 rigorous more sleeves. You know what I mean? Like,
stop. They'll be out of the sport in 3 years anyways.
3 years? They can't even see what 3 years looks like.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That is true though. I mean, in the time that Eamonn's been in the sport, or I've been in the sport, and we spoke about this, the poppies, like, I mean, we have seen wave after wave after wave. In the time that he's been injured, two generations of powerlifters have come through.
Yeah.
You know, and there is that other side of that. And so I get people might look at it. I mean, I was 150 plus for the 1,000 and you know, I get that people can look at it in a judgmental manner. But actually hearing you out there, mate, this is the first time we've actually really had it out in that sense. Yeah. I kind of go, fuck it, yeah, man, send it. Yeah. Maximum effort, baby. And if that's what it takes to hit your goal, redline that motherfucker till you hit it.
Yeah.
You know?
We're not doing this like the nicey way. You don't... Here's the thing. Clash of Titans, these boys...
They're kings.
That's the difference.
They're titans.
We're circus freaks for a reason.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, we're circus freaks. That's the big difference for me with Clash Titans and even Abs Pro. It's like, Clash is like, let's bring all the circus freaks to the table and see who makes it out alive. Kind of way, because unbelievable numbers are going to get lifted and even just presence of people. Like, there's going to be
a potential for 3 1,100 kilo totals.
4 guys there who weigh over 400 pounds.
Fucking hell.
Dan Bell, me, Conor Marston's.
Oh yeah, he's like 220 or something.
Exactly. There you go. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he's like 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're all gonna be sitting there, and that's what brings that specialty to something like Clash of Titans.
Conor Marston is an incredible squatter. Yeah. Have you ever seen him squat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the speed, the explosiveness, and I know we're 8 weeks out and he's still in sleeves throwing around 320, 330.
Oh yeah.
But like, he'll just turn it up like that. And 4 squat sessions, he'll be throwing 410.
But that's a lot to do with coaching with Andy Bolton.
Yeah.
Andy Bolton trains very sub-maximally and then hits like a heavy session every now and again. Then you got your man Kyle Gibson from Scotland. You see him?
Yes, he looks fucking... He's
370 for 4.
Yeah,
I think his best is like 420 or something.
Yeah, 430.
You know what I mean? Like these boys are just absolute freaks of nature, you know, that kind of way. So, get around to your point. You can call me out all you want. I'm a little bit too long in this game to give a shit, really, what people think too much. Unless you're part of that, as I said last podcast, that circle of people who I trust. You know what I mean? Jake is one of those when it comes to powerlifting. I'd be like, what's your opinion on this?
Yeah. Send it or don't.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Or what do you think? Like, pull up. Like, we made a decision. I just made a decision last Sunday to only take 375 for a single. I should have made a double. But when I explained it to Jake after, he was like, you made the right call. So, yeah.
No point roasting yourself because you've got your deads this week.
Yeah, and there's nothing to be gained from doing a double in the 10, 12 RP range.
8 weeks out, 9 weeks out.
You know? So, no,
absolutely. And I appreciate you being candid with it because that's kind of what this is all about.
Yeah.
With these conversations. A lot of the time, again, people will pussyfoot around the topic. Like, again, it's not about...
Yeah, we're very gentle, us guys. Yeah, we're very easy going. Very subtle.
But what I mean is, a lot of the time, I think it's a case of accepting that this is your motivation and this is your viewpoint, and whether or not that, and I think that's kind of where people are getting lost in translation. It's a case of the people that are, you should have called Eamonn out a bit more on that. He was wrong with this, right? It's they're looking at training strictly from a health and fitness standpoint,
from an IPF standpoint,
potentially.
Pussies.
But you're looking at it from the standpoint of, I have this monumental goal that only a certain handful of people in the entire world have ever actually achieved. Because how many people in the world have even achieved 1,000 kilo total? Is it?
Well, it's only just a little over 100, I think.
Yeah, so that's a minute subset of the population. Like, and people might say, "Oh, 100, fucking 100 people in billions and billions." Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, so I understand the motivation, and I think people, again, like, you could look at it for other things. Like, if somebody wants to start their own business and they're working 100-hour weeks, and people are like, "You're going to kill yourself doing that. You shouldn't be working that hard." But it does ultimately result in them
the goal.
Exactly.
And I actually, the way you spoke there, very as candidly as you did, I actually think that'll sway a lot of people in the sense, not sway as in, oh, you spoke, even for me, it made a lot of sense. I went, yeah, maximum effort, because I'd have done the same.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way, and redline that motherfucker till you hit your goal. And I get it, bro. Because
that's like the thing with you, like, to further on your question about Jake about hitting more at 135, the only way, Jake, you're going to do that, though, is if that, like, super aggressive, not, you know, tantrums, but super aggressive, obsessive Jake comes back with that person in your corner who's going to drive. So if you had someone driving that nutritional power into you, fueling those sessions to the maximum. Like, Ellis is, like, when I go into sessions now, like last Sunday I squatted, right? So Saturday I had 900 grams of carbs.
Yeah, I seen that. I was like, how the fuck are you getting 9? Right? Like, I'm on 570 or 470 grams of carbs, and I'm like, that's a shit ton of carbs.
I felt just so ready. Does that make sense? Neurologically,
I'd have felt like like I needed a big poop.
But neurologically and ready for that day, you know, that kind of way. And if you had someone in your corner doing that same thing for you, which Tommy. I believe Tommy will do, because I remember when training with Tommy, it was like doing diet with Tommy and then training.
He's smart as fuck. Like,
he will fuel you to a max, but you need to bring it for a whole off season.
Yeah,
every single day, treating it like it's a comp day. You need to bring it for the peak, and you need to listen to Tommy for everything he says in regards to everything.
Absolutely.
And if you do that, you're well capable of 1050 at 135, not even just 1,000. But the thing is that you need to do is you need to find that mindset again.
Yeah, I know.
Bring back Legatron.
Oh, man. Yeah. Legatron, listen, like listen, I'm a fucking psychotic cunt.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yes, agreed. Yeah. You can stop talking.
Right. No, okay. Fair call. You've got me. Back to rights here. But, you know, as much as I said no regrets, no regrets, and I don't really have regrets, but do I want to go back into the depths of that fucking darkness? Because it is a toxic place to be. Like, man, you aren't squatting fast enough. Get the fuck off my rack. Kicking cunts off the rack. Just like, what's his name? and I'll throw a 25 at them. You know, what's that fucker's name?
Kirk. Yeah, Captain
right?
Kirk.
Captain Kirk. Like, that's where I was. I mean, back in old abs, like, there'd be 10 people on the squat rack, and I'd be screaming. I'd be like, lads, fuck off.
Yeah.
You know? And if you're not in there, like Garrett Smalls, what a fucking plonker. Now, he's sound as a pound, and I really like him. But, like, he'd disappear and then come back, and we'd 3 plates on the bar from 1 plate. He'd be like, oh, can we strip? No, you're off until you get back.
Yeah.
Get into the rotation or fuck off. And, you know, and although that leveled up everybody, I think it leveled up. I think it was such a toxic place for me to be.
Yeah, in other aspects of your life outside training.
Yes. And so I need that monster back, but I also need to find a little bit of balance. And here's the kick. There's no such thing as balance.
Yeah.
When you're obsessive and about a goal and about that life, there's no such thing as balance. Everything falls by the wayside. Yeah. Everything.
Yeah.
Right, boys, I think we're going to have to wrap this up. I have somewhere I need to be shortly enough. That was fantastic.
We know. We're amazing.
I think we'll need to do something like this again. Maybe we'll get Ben back involved.
Absolutely, man. I'd love to.
Boys, it's been real. Thank you.
Thank you.